Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Now, this is going to be one of those not very scripted videos. Something people often comment on is the fact that I often don't have many people in my footage. In some videos, the places I'm filming are quite eerily empty, so I thought maybe I'd talk about that today. Why are so many of my videos spookily unpopulated, and how do I avoid the crowds on a transport system that handles millions of people every day? Firstly, the why. Most obviously, I don't want to get in the way. To put it frankly, I'm filming without a permit. Most of the time, as long as you're not making a nuisance of yourself or generally being unnecessarily weird, no one cares. I very rarely get questioned by staff or security, and I've only actually been asked to stop filming once, which I did because, really, no one benefits from me acting like a jerk. So, in order to do what I do, I have no bulky equipment, and I don't get in people's way. You know, in the way of people actually using the network for its intended purpose. When a station is really busy, it's hard not to get in people's way, so filming at less busy times is fairly essential. The other main reason is an artistic one, if you want to call my videos artistic, which is frankly stretching it. One thing I like to avoid in my videos is people looking at the camera. Now, there's no reason really why they can't be, but it just looks weird. In videos of the sort I make, I kind of want to create the illusion that I'm not really there, that what the viewer is looking at is what anyone walking through the station or along the street or whatever would see. I feel like someone actually looking at the camera breaks that immersion. It's distracting. I don't know, maybe I'm being weird about this. It's not like you don't know it's me there. Then there's the knotty question of getting people on film. Now, legally, if you're in a public place, filming people is fine. I mean, look at how many CCTV cameras we have in the UK. Not to mention things like journalism, where if you had to get a release for every single person in the background, you'd never get any reporting done. Despite this, I try not to get anyone too prominently or obviously in shot. I did once have someone complain because she thought I was filming her car. I resisted the urge to ask why she thought anyone would care about her car, and explained that actually I was filming the tram that was not anywhere near her car. This seemed to clear things up. But it does demonstrate another of the pitfalls of filming in public, i.e. that sometimes people will vocally object. And finally, sometimes it's to create a deliberate effect. For instance, these shots of the Northern City line. Now, the Northern City line is a pretty spooky line. It always feels deserted, even when it isn't. To convey that feeling, I deliberately took footage that didn't show other people. When I took this footage of the Barbican estate, I tried to convey the hugeness of it by shooting it at a time when I knew there wouldn't be many people about. On a Sunday morning, when most respectable people are in bed with a hangover. Before we get on to the how, which is probably the more useful question, you know what else respectable people are doing? Protecting themselves online. Hence this video's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Man, these transitions into the sponsor segment are getting rough. Surfshark is a service that gives you a bit of privacy online in a world where everyone's trying to get their hands on your data. Surfshark's advanced encryption and their ability to route your data through servers in over 100 countries means that you don't have to worry about those mean little snoopers tracking your every move online. But that's not all. Those servers in lots of different countries mean that you can take advantage of things like streaming services in other countries. I've been having a lot of fun switching between countries to see what movies and TV series I can get when my streaming provider thinks I'm somewhere else. And in the same fashion, you can take advantage of region-specific pricing when shopping online to save money. Best of all, if you follow the link in the description below and enter the code JAGO, you can get 3 months extra free on top of their 2-year plan. It'll really let you get ahead of the crowd. And speaking of crowds... Now you've heard the why of avoiding filming people, let's talk about the how, which strikes me as something you can use even if you're not making films. Usually it's a question of timing. These days I'm a full-time YouTuber, so I do a lot of my filming during the day, outside of rush hour, when I can avoid the worst of the crowds. Now, in central London, you will never find a time when the trains are completely empty. It's a city of, 9 million people these days? With unusual work patterns, shifts, and working from home, it's no longer the case that between the hours of 9 and 5 everyone is at their desk. Nevertheless, things are a lot less busy during those hours. Weekends can also be good. Business districts like the City of London and Canary Wharf, away from the stations, are basically 28 days later on a Sunday. Even near the tube stations, you have a fraction of the number of people you get during the week. And of course there's good old antisocial hours. Here's a shot of Waterloo, one of the busiest stations in Britain. But look at the clock there. That's not 5 p.m. Early mornings are best of all for avoiding the crowds, but late nights can be pretty good too. Not at weekends, though. Friday and Saturday night tube trains are mighty busy. This isn't so much a filming thing as a general crowd-avoiding thing, because, filming aside, I don't like crowded spaces. London's public transport network is really comprehensive, and often there's more than one way to get to the place you want to reach. Maybe the most direct route is packed, but you could go via an indirect route. I often use Thameslink or the Overground to get into central London, which are slower than the tube, but you're above ground and they don't get quite as busy. It's also worth researching whether the closest station to your destination is the best one. There might be another station that's less busy, but only a short distance away. Borough Station is not far from London Bridge. Southwark and Lambeth North are both near Waterloo. Cannon Street is basically next to Bank. Tower Hill can easily be reached from Aldgate, and so forth. A little research can save a lot of hassle. And finally, one of the least useful pieces of information. During the pandemic I was a key worker and I worked in central London. What this meant was that I had the chance to film. Not as much as I would have liked, I still couldn't justify going too far out of my way, but if I walked part of the route to or from work, I could get quite a bit of footage. And of course that footage did not have a lot of people in it. So, if you have access to a time machine, there's a little tip for you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, then it would be jolly kind if you would leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like, as always, to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon and here on YouTube for your always generous support. You are the empty void to my spooky shots. Thanks also to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below to take advantage of their generous offer. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.